Hello, and welcome to lesson 1-5. This lesson is titled A Coordinated Effort, and we are going to learn about the basics of graphing. This can be found on page 59 of your textbook. Towards the middle of the page, they start the classwork, and they're describing some data for us. It says one common way to measure the strength of the economy is through unemployment numbers. As the U.S. recovered from the recession of the late 2000s, the unemployment picture improved considerably. Then the coronavirus pandemic happened. These tables display the average annual unemployment rates for the years 2000 to 2021. This is an example of time series data, which are quantitative data that have been collected at different points in time. A time series graph displays values on the y-axis compared to equally spaced time intervals on the x-axis. So they give us some raw data here. I can see that across the top is the years going from 2000 to 2021. I can read the percent below the year. So for example, in the year 2000, the unemployment percent rate was 4%. If I want to look at 2015, I find 2015 on there, and the unemployment rate was 5.3%. So I'm kind of getting comfortable with reading this table. It's kind of an odd table because it's broken. They want us to write a verbal description over what happened over the 21 years between 2000 and 2021. So I'm going to say from 2000, I'm going to watch here because from 4 to 4.7, it's going up to 2003. It was increasing. It was getting bigger. Then in 2003, it starts dropping again. So let's see how long it drops from 2003 until, 2003, 2004, 5, till 2006, and then it stayed the same in 2007. So we're going to say it's decreasing here. In 2006 and 2007 stayed the same, and then it started increasing. So from 2007 until, let's see, when we stopped, we went up to 9.6 in 2010. Forgot my zero in here. It was increasing. I'm going to shortcut that with an arrow. Then from 2010, it starts going down. It goes all the way down until we hit 2019. It's dropping, and then it shot up significantly between 2019 and 2021. So with some effort, we're able to look at the raw data and determine what's happening with the data. But let's look at the next page, page 60, and look at this in graphical form. Look at how much easier that is to read. It is so much easier now to say when it's increasing, when it's decreasing. So it's the same verbal description that we gave in number 1, but it's a whole lot easier. So you do not need to write this again. We'll say the same as number 1 because the data hasn't changed. Same as number 1. But why does the graph make it easier? Well, the graph makes it easier because all you have to do is look at the height. Only need to look at the height. So that's helpful. Now, one thing they mentioned right below this question is without numbers along the bottom side and the left side of the graph, we wouldn't be able to understand what the graph says. So a few things this graph needs. The graph needs a scale. Those are the numbers across the bottom and along the side. You have to tell your reader what they're looking at. We also need the axes. One axis is singular, 2 is axes. And you probably should have labels. Notice a couple things they have here. They have a title, and then they have labels for both of the axes in addition to the scale. So you want to have a title, you want to have labels, and you want to have a scale. There's a solved example here that you can look through a little bit so you can get a chance to get some extra practice. On page 61, they kind of bring it back into more math terms. They talk about how we found some different things. They said one thing you noticed is that if I wanted to look at 2022, they show me in that solved example on how to do that. They said go over to 2022, go up until we hit about 3.6, and that's where it's found. So we went right and then up to find the new point of data. And that's important. That's called the coordinate. This is called a rectangular coordinate system, and the points we plot are called coordinates. You may also hear them called ordered pairs. It's x comma y, and we're going to call it a coordinate or an ordered pair. And I like the term ordered pair because the order matters. X is alphabetical before y, and it matters. You graph x first, then you graph y. When you graph, you are graphing the horizontal distance first, and then the vertical distance. That's also alphabetical, if that helps. So this is a rectangular coordinate system that is given for us. When we did the last problem, we didn't need the negatives. We weren't going to have negative years, and we weren't going to have negative percents. But in the math world, we do have positives and negatives, so it's actually two number lines put together. The horizontal number line is the x-axis. The vertical number line is the y-axis. So they're two number lines put together. The place where they meet, the place where they cross, is called the origin. It's called the origin because that is your starting point when you graph any point. And it has the ordered pair 0, 0. If you think of an ordered pair as being directions, then the origin says don't go anywhere at all. Stay right here. This is where you start. So when we graph these, it's called plotting points. And we just answered number 3. The coordinates of the origin, it's the starting point, so you don't move left or right at all. You don't move up or down at all. It's 0, 0. Ordered pairs have a comma between them and parentheses around them. So do make sure you have that accurate. All right, now they're asking us to look at the scale in number 4. On the x-axis, that's the horizontal one. Let's go ahead and do this in a different color. We're looking at this axis. They gave me numbers, so that's good. I start at 0 and I go to 5, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hash marks in there. So the x-axis is going up by 1 each. So the x-axis, each box represents 1 unit. And the y-axis is the up and down one, the vertical one. And they do have numbers there, but instead of 5s this time, they're 10s, 10 and negative 10. So if I start at 0 and I try to count by 1s, I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh no, I'm not at 10. That's a problem. What can I count by so that when I can only count 5 of them, that's going to take me to 10? We know 1s don't work. How about 2s? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Perfect. So the y-axis is going up by 2 units each. So it is important when they give you the scale that you recognize what the scale is. The last problem on here then is going to ask us to graph some points. They're going to ask us to graph the point 4, 0, and then so on. So we'll start with 4, 0. I will do that one in purple. So remember, these are a set of directions. So going back to my graph, I'm going to erase what we have here so I have room to graph. The point that they asked me to graph is 4, 0 for letter A. It tells me I put my finger on the origin, the 0, 0, and the 4, it's positive, so it tells me to go to right 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the 0 tells me to go up 0. So my point A is right there. Point B is 0, negative 8. Again, it's a set of directions. I start at the origin. The 0 tells me I don't go left or right at all. And then I go down 8. And I have to remember that I'm counting by 2s. I'm going down because it's negative. So negative 2, negative 4, negative 6, negative 8. My point B is right there. Let's see what point C is. Point C, oh good, we get both directions. Negative 3, negative 4. Again, I start at my origin. The -3 tells me that I go left 3, 1, 2, 3, but then I don't put a point there because from there I have to go down 4, 2, 4. So point C is right there. And let's look at the last one. Point D is the point 2, 7. So I'm going to go start at the origin, go right 2, 1, 2, and then up 7. So I'm counting by 2s, 2, 4, 6, and then halfway in between will be about where 7 is. And that is point D. So first numbers, left or right. If it's positive, you go right. If it's negative, you go left. Second number is the Y, the up and down. If it's positive, you go up. If it's negative, you go down. And it's very, very important that we have the scale there. If they had not had the 5s and 10s on there, I wouldn't know what I'm counting by. If they didn't have labels on real world problems, I can't read them. And that's going to be very significant when you go to do your first problem in your group. So that is the end of Basics of Graphing. The next thing you'll do is work on your group work, and I will see you next time when we work on the next section. I hope you have a wonderful day.